Good morning. Today we're going to be working on the third painting in a series of fruit paintings that I started earlier. I have done the peach, a vanishing apple. Today we're going to work on a pear. Pears can be a variety of colors, but we're going to try to keep it a little more traditional or realistic. So the first thing we need to do is you're going to need a chalk pencil or a white charcoal. I have a Conte white charcoal pencil, and we're going to draw on our pear. Pears are pretty easy to draw. The two basic shapes, an oval and a triangle, but a soft triangle. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my circle or oval. Like so. Then I'm going to take and make a very soft triangle for it towards the top. Like that. And then there's going to be a stem, so I will create my area for the stem. Will be at the top. We have it drawn. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the colors that I'm going to use. My base color today will be burnt sienna. I kind of like to start fruit and burnt sienna because it gives a richness to the other colors I'm going to put on. And today we're going to do a green with red apple. Red is the complement, so we will make sure we dry after we put the green on. I'm going to pick a brush. Now, I happen to like the Pro Stroke brushes by Jerry's Artorama. They're natural bristles. As you use them, they do start to wear down. You get a very nice texture with these brushes. So, time to start painting. So, I've loaded my brush. I've taken off as much excess as I can. I have a towel. I wipe. I do not dampen these brushes. I know a lot of people do. I don't. I reload after I take off some of the paint, and then I start to paint. I try to stay within my lines. Okay, if you go over them a little, it's art. There's nothing you're doing that's going to be wrong. I want my strokes to kind of come in a circular pattern. As you can see, I'm moving towards that as I outline my paint, my pear. I reload my brush frequently because I want to get paint on. Acrylic paint is polymers, and it is very close to almost like a plastic. When you take off dried paint from anything, you'll see it has a very plastic type of texture to it. So, that said, you want to reload. You don't want to worry too much. If you get it on your hands, it will peel off. If you get it on clothing, it does not like to come out. So my suggestion is to either wear an apron or dedicate some clothing to painting. I've chosen to dedicate some clothing. I used to wear an apron, but it's getting a little warm in the season for that, and my windows are open, so you will hear my sounds of all the cars going by, tooting, maybe even some dogs barking. Could be my dog, could be my parrots barking. Yeah, they bark like the dogs sometimes. Alright, I'm going to get it all in. Now, it's going to be important to dry or let it dry between each coat. We'll be blending today and so on. Alright, we've got the basic in. I'm going to add my little stem up top. Like, there you go. Now we got it ready. Rinse your brush out thoroughly. And while we're letting this get to an initial drying stage, I will go over the rest of the paints we're going to use. You only need a little bit of burnt sienna. I did put out a little too much. That said, it's okay. So today I'm going to use some Hooker's Green, some Cad Yellow Light, Cad Yellow Medium. And some Cad Red Light. I'm just looking for that right now. I didn't organize myself well this morning. So I'm going to have these basic colors. So before I load them on my palette, I'm going to quickly hit it with the hairdryer. There. Okay. So since the basic painting is going to be green, we're going to start with just a straight hooker's green because it's very dark, and I do want it dark initially because you go from darks to lights with acrylics. Using the same brush from earlier, I'm going to apply the hooker's green over this. As you can see, the burnt sienna is enriching the hooker's green. It's making it more dark. Now, when you are using natural bristle brushes or any brush, it is important to make sure when you rinse it that you have removed as much of the water as possible. The background on our painting today is black. It is called Folk Black, and it is a series of paints that Matisse makes. It's called Background Colors. It is more of a gesso than an acrylic paint, but it makes for some beautiful initial backgrounds. Every painting needs some color to start, and a lot of times we undercoat paintings. It's what I did with the black, and it gives a surface, one, that gives you a nice start to your painting, but two, it gives you a surface that acrylic paint does like to attach to. As you can see, this paint is going on very, very smoothly. You don't need a lot of paint, and it's better to put a small amount out and refresh as needed. Okay, we have that. We do not need to dry between this layer. We're going to take some Cad Yellow Medium. We're going to put it on our palette. I use palette paper. Jerry makes a nice palette paper, but you can get palette paper from Bristol, variety of sources. No one palette paper is better than the other. It's basically a wax type paper that allows your paint to sit on it nicely. A lot of people use the Stay Wet palettes. I do have one. I have not opened it yet. I will be giving it a try. We'll see how that goes. Alright, I'm also going to put out just a little bit of my Cad Yellow Light. Again, you can refresh it. Paint is expensive, so you don't want to spend a lot of money on your paint constantly putting out big dollops of it. Better to put small amounts and add to it. So each painting has a light source. You have to determine where your light source is. My light source today will be coming from the left. So that means the left side of my pear will be lighter than the right side. So we're going to start on the right side with the darker tone. I'm going to take some of my hooker green. I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to take some of my Cad Yellow Medium. That is the darker of the two yellows. And I'm going to mix up a fairly dark color. Now I'm going to apply that to the right side of my pear over this, and as you can see, my strokes tend to be on the lighter side because I want some of this dark color to show through. If I lose it, I can re-add it, but I do want some of the dark to show through. So since I want my pear to appear to be circular, I'm going to make sure my brush strokes go in the same direction. So they're all going to go this way basically coming into the center of the pear. Now, I'm going to take some of my Cad Yellow Light to start transitioning this darker tone into my lighter side. If you find your paint is getting too tacky, stop, rinse your brush, and while you're rinsing your brush, make sure to dry the layer, because tacky paint just creates a mess. I know this because as we're learning, these are the things we don't think about, but you need to dry between layers. If you think you can't, it's too tacky, dry, because we're starting to reach the tacky phase. And we're going to rinse our brush so that the paint doesn't dry while we dry it in the brush. Rinse, rinse, rinse. I have a rinser that refreshes water if I press a button, so I'm refreshing my water. I want to get as much color out as I can from my brush. I always have a painting rag, and I dry a couple times. All right. Sorry about the hair dryer, but we need to dry real quick. So we're going to put that on, dry it. So now I'm going to have a small bright brush from the Silver Bristlon series, and I'm going to start using that because I want a little more finesse to do this. So I've got my darker color over here. I'm going to add some more of the Cad Yellow Medium. There we go. Until I get a nice light green out of the hookers green. Okay, I've just used so far 4 colors. Okay, so now on this side, as I need to, I will darken it if it seems to be too light. Like this is too light. I'm going to wipe my brush off, leave it dirty, but add a little more green to this color. There we go. And let's see. Yeah, that's getting better. Okay. All right. And now we're just going to keep layering paint on until we get the tones we want. The darkest point on our pear will be over here. And we will add that on the, I like to add it as my final layer. If you find your brush is not going smoothly, get it damp, tap it off on your paint rag and keep applying. If you're finding that, well, it's just too light, add a little bit of the darker tone to it to keep painting. Towards the bottom of our pear will be the darkest area. And then we just keep, as you can see, I'm just layering it in. And I'm tapping and blending as I lay. And I blend on the side of my brush versus the toe. The toe is the top of your brush. And I just keep adding my paint until I'm happy with the effect I'm looking for. Now, acrylic paints do dry darker. So sometimes after you're done and it has set overnight, you're going to find it got a little too dark in spots. You just take your paints back out. You know how to mix the colors, because we've kept this very basic and very simple. And you're going to just keep tapping in, and brushing. And adding the color as you need to. And as you're getting towards your light source, you're going to see it should be getting lighter there as well. Now remember, acrylics dry dark. Sometimes we need to add additional paint and add additional colors. There you go. All right. And we want to make sure we're blending in a bit so that you don't have paint lines. You know, it looks like you lined it up and you've got nothing but a straight line going down. You want to have it nice and smooth. Turn your painting as you need to so you can get the paint going in the right direction and you get the look you're looking for. All right, as we're painting now, I'm going to start adding to this color over here some of the light yellow. Now, it is always good after you've mixed the paint to wipe your brush with your paint rag. And I'm just going to start adding paint to my light sourced side. So that would be my left side. So I'm going to start adding the paint. And as you can see, I'm blending it into the other side because I don't want a line that says definitively light here, dark here. And on up towards the top will be the strongest portion of our light source, and it will still be light, but it will get a little bit darker as we move down. But it's not going to be as dark as the other side. It's still going to have more of the light source coming towards it. But the bottom of our pear, right down here, will be the darkest portion. And that we will darken up maybe a little bit more by using some of the burnt sienna with our paint. I'm applying tiny strokes because I want to make sure I have the color going on, and it's okay if some of the dark shows through. It's supposed to. If you can get that to happen on fruit, you get a very beautiful looking fruit. All right, I'm getting down this towards the bottom of my pear, so I'm darkening my source just a bit on this side, but I'm still adding lights over it because I don't want it to be as dark as my bottom because it's not quite there yet. I want it to have some nice tones, especially towards the edge of it, because the edge of our pear is the brightest spot. There. Okay, so far it's going along nicely. I'm going to add a little dark and do some blending here because I don't want any definitive lines anywhere. Okay, my brightest source, and I have more yellow than a green tone to it, will be right up at the edge here. So that's where I want to bring my thing. Now I've wiped all the paint off my brush, and now I am just gently tapping to blend. Tap to blend. Okay, now over here is going to be our darker source, so I'm going to take some Hooker's Green on my dirty brush and a little bit of the burnt sienna, a little bit more green. There we go. Now we've got a nice green, almost a black, and we're going to bring it down to our bottom of our pear, because that's the area that's going to kind of be in the dark. So we want that to be the darkest area. Again, we don't want a line. So once we've applied the paint, tap, tap, tap to blend. Okay, and now we're going to take the same color and we're going to bring it over this, onto the side down here, because this will be our darkest area. And we're just going to darken that edge right there. There we go. Once we're done adding that paint, we're going to go and tap, tap, tap to blend, 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 okay? There we go. Okay. So, I'm going to rinse my brush because it will start drying, especially during the summertime. It can get very warm. So you want to make sure that you are not applying dollops of old paint in your painting. Okay, so far so good. Yes. All right, now we got to dry again because we're going to start adding some of the yellow red tones to it. Now, I use a hairdryer to dry between my layers. You can wait, you know, pause the video and wait, or you can hit it with a hairdryer. I know a lot of artists say you can only use a cool hairdryer. I use a hot dryer. It has not changed the color of my paint. That said, I am using professional grade paint, Golden Acrylics, which is probably one of the better brands. The other better brand is Holbein and Matisse. I also like Sienna Acrylic. I've just tried that and I found that to be a very nice paint as well. So I'm going to use a little bit of Cad Red Medium because I think I want it more on the red tones and less of the orange. Cad Red Medium is closer to a true red than a Cad Red Light. And I'm going to put a little Cad Red Light out so you'll get an opportunity to see the difference. And as you can see, let me move that one wire out of the way. As you can see, it is more orange based. This is more red or purple based. So this is on, this one is cooler, this one is warmer. All right, so I want to take the same Bristlon number 2 bright, and I'm going to add a little bit of the Cad Red and a little Cad Red, Cad Yellow Medium, and I'm going to make a reddish orangey tone like this. I'm going to wipe my brush down because I used it to mix, and now I'm going to decide where I want to place my red. This is a darker red, so I'm going to put it on my darker side of the pear. Because as a pear does ripen, it loses a lot of the green tones and it moves into more orangey tones, especially the anjous, which turn into a nice, beautiful reddish tone. So I'm just going to keep adding. Now this is a new layer, so it is not going to blend in, and you don't want to blend it because reds are the opposite of green on the color wheel, and that means that it will gray it. So if you want to gray a paint, add the complement to that paint. All right, so I'm adding in some of my red. And I think I might add a little bit more, just some actual red right to this, so it's a little darker in spots. As you can see, I am not looking to leave on this one here, a brush mark. I'm looking to leave some of the green showing through, but I'm just lightly applying my color tones. Okay, as I go over, I might create a little more of an orangey tone, more on the, and more red. Okay, there we go. Very close to the original color, but just a little bit of yellow in it. Okay, here we go. That's good. And I'm going to start adding that on the lighter side. I do want to blend this in, so I'm going to remove the paint off of my brush, and I'm just going to start using more of a dry brush technique, which is just a small amount of paint, and you're just applying it in kind of an up and down rubbing motion. I don't want to lose all of my greens because I wanted the greens because it will complement nicely with my other series of fruit, because we have the peach tones, the red tones, and now these green tones will make a perfect trio. And I can go back over here, remix, because it will dry quickly. It's summertime, and paint sadly does dry quickly. Make sure your paint does not have any greens in it. And you just want to blend. Blending, 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 so that you're not leaving any, like, lines that say, hey, look, I'm a dark tone. Oh, I'm a light tone. You want to blend it in so it looks a little more natural. And we just keep applying the paint. If you feel you have too much on your brush, wipe it off and spread it. You can apply this as far down as you want, up as far up. It's always good to have a reference. My reference today is on my device that is right now recording, but I've done many pairs and I kind of know what it is in my head, what I'm looking for. It's not the best way to paint. Having a reference is an excellent thing to make sure you have. But if you're winging it, well, it's okay. We all wing it once in a while. There's no harm or foul to winging it. Alright, so my fruit is starting to get pretty ripe, huh? But I have to say, I'm liking the look, and as you're running out of the color you mix, go back and remix your color. It's not hard. We know what colors we've used. Yellow, Cad Yellow Light with the Cad Red Medium right now, and I'm working on my lighter side. And I tend to want a little bit more of the yellow than I do the red, and I'll adjust my color as I need to as I'm painting. All right, so there we go. I want to make sure we have plenty of light to our dark. Now, tapping it in does help to blend. As you can see, we're getting a nice tonal variety here. Now, I'm going to take my Cad Yellow Medium and add a little bit more of that to my mixture, because I do want to bring some of those tones over here to the lighter side, so it's not like we've got two different colors going. I like to make sure everything kind of blends in and is as homogeneous as possible. All right, so I'm gonna hold my look back at my painting. All right, on this side here, I need a little bit more yellow towards the top, less. There we go. Just a hint of color to the yellow. I'm going to wipe off the excess now, and I'm going to go tap, 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 because I want it to blend in. Now, the colors that I'm using, the Cad Yellow, Cad Red Lights, etc., these have an agent in it. They have a mineral in it called cadmium. And cadmium is toxic. So if you get it on your hands, wash your hands. Don't eat the paint. It can, you know, it's like any other thing. It has a symbol on it that says, beware, the paint is hazardous. You'll see that symbol which says keep it away from, you know, sources. Just don't eat it. If you're using it, we use small amounts as artists. As long as you're not eating it or, you know, basically ingesting it, if you have a cut on your hand, beware of it and try not to get any of the paint in the cut. It's just basic common sense. They do come in U's, and my Cad Yellow Medium is a U. All right, getting a nice look on our pear. I do think I want to add a little more of the darker red down in this corner of my pear. And I'm just going to layer it over a little bit. Now, let's take a look. I like my dark part here. We need the dark there, but right here it seems a little dark, so I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to need to add more paint to my palette, so I will do that. Rinse, 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 and then wipe it dry. There we go. I'm going to add a little more of the Hooker's Green out, because I had only put a small amount and we have used it up, or it is gone. And we need to lighten the Hooker's area up a little. The top, this right here is a little bit too dark. So I'm going to take some of the Cad Yellow Light. I'm going to take Hooker's Green, and then I'm going to start blending them in together. I think that's about the color I want right there. So I'm going to wipe off my brush, reload, come in, and as you can see, it does dry a lot darker, and I don't quite want it that dark right here, and I don't want it that light either. So there is a happy medium somewhere in there. We will find it. Okay, here we go. And then I'm going to bring some of that darker this direction. There we go. Okay. Yeah, we're looking a little bit too dark up here. Not quite as homogeneous as I was hoping for. So I'm going to, without touching the reds, because I don't want to gray my tones, but we're going to live a little dangerously because they're still damp. I'm just going to lighten this area. Like so. Okay, that's looking much better. All right, now I am definitely going to rinse my brush again. I'm going to hit this quickly with a hairdryer so that I can blend in the oranges and the greens just a bit. All right, taking my brush again, I'm going to continue with lightening it. On this side, it's definitely going to have a lighter tone to it, but I don't want that yellow to look like it's striped in there. And I don't want to look like the green is striped in there, so I'm going to try to tap it and blend it to the oranges a bit, adding a little more green here versus yellow. And then we'll go back and we'll adjust that on that side as well. All right, here we go. Oh, that's looking much better. Okay, I'm going to rinse my brush, dry it. Then I'm just going to take the dried brush and try to tap a little bit. Now, as you can see, it's not removing the color, it's blending the colors together so that you're getting a very nice look. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side, but I rinsed my brush before I came over because I didn't want the light of the Cad light yellow. And then you can use your fingers a little bit. You know, there we go. I think that's looking a little bit better. All right, let's go back to adding some of our orange tones. I do want a little more orangey in this. So I'm going to take my Cad Yellow Medium to my Cad Red Medium, make a nice orangey tone, wipe the brush off, reload, and right through here, just kind of bring it up a little bit. There we go. You know, our Pear has a lot going on for it today. It's going to have some red tones, orange tones. It's going to be a pretty little Pear. I'm going to go back to the other one here, and I do want it to be darker right in here. So I'm going to just darken that up a bit. There we go. All right. I'm going to take some of our mixture here with the Cad Yellow Light. I'm going to add just a little bit of Cad Yellow Medium. And through here, it's darkened up on us. So I want to lighten that a little bit. Because we don't, you have to watch your lights and your darks, because when we are painting, the acrylic paints will dry much darker. And we always go from dark to light when we paint. So that means I start with my darkest tones, and then I add lighter tones to the top. It enriches the light tones as well as providing a nice variety of color. And really that's what it's about, is just adding color. You can add a little bit of the Cad Yellow Light to that same thing, and you can just come up here and kind of blend downwards a little to create a nice blended look here. There we go. Add a little more Hooker's green. You can make Hooker's green on your own by using ultramarine blue with a little bit of the Cad Yellow medium or deep, depending upon how dark you want it. And then you just lighten your tones with lighter tones of yellow. Yellow and blue make green. It's just army type of green or a dark green you would make using the Cad, using the ultramarine blue, which is a darker paint. And ultramarine blue is has a purple bias to it, or a red bias. And you have phthalo blue, which is very bright. It's like bright blue. So when if you mix yellows with that, you come up with a very bright leaf color. We weren't looking for a leaf color. We're looking almost for a lemony color, but I want my pear to be green, so it's going to be green. It's my choice as the artist. There we go. Oh, that's looking lovely. It's all about the layers and adding more and more layers as you go along. Just try not to have stripes. Paint marks are great, stripes are not. And I'm just trying to blend my little tones here all together, so we're getting the look we're hoping for. Oh, I think this is turning out nice. I like this. Nice. Okay, that spot I am happy with. We're not touching no more. I'm going to add just a little bit of green here. I need it a little greener. And I'm going to just tap right there. Okay, I think we got it. Rinse your brush. Okay, now the area where the stem is, well, before we do that, I want to get back into the yellow, reds and oranges again, because I need a little bit more, I think, of that on this pear. All right, so I'm going to I have to add some more Cad Yellow Medium Hue. It just happens to be what was available post-pandemic. As you can see, I don't use a ton of paint, so it lasts a long time. And yes, the paints will last if you care for them. Make sure the lids are tight, and make sure you don't leave them open when you put them away. All right, so I'm going to take some of the Cad and Yellow Medium. I'm going to take some of the Cad Red, and I'm going to make a mixture. Wipe my brush off and reload, because I don't want too much of the yellow coming into this, and then just come work all this in. There we go. It seemed a little dark right there. It did dry a little bit darker than intended. So I'll bring that down a bit. There we go. Ah, much better. Okay. And it does tend to go in with that nicely. I'm going to take some of my Cad Yellow Light with my Cad Red Light. And I want to just add a little bit more because it has darkened. If you get a little yellow paint, it's good. Now is a good time because we're adding our light, some of our lights to this. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna bring that down a bit. There we go. And I do think I wanna, let's try some Cad Red Medium. This is Cad Yellow Medium and some of the Cad Yellow Light. Let's see if we can, nice. Okay. So this is still too dark. I don't want it quite that dark. I want it a little darker than this, but not appreciably. All right, there we go. I think it got too dark on us, and I didn't want all that darkness there. So I'm gonna lighten it up. As I said, the paints will dry darker. Sometimes it takes multiple layers to lighten. Now, you'll be able to access these lessons for free on YouTube. I will have a Traceable available on my website. And the website is listed in the link in the description. I'm tapping now and I'm trying to kind of get this speckling or the stippling that I want with regard to colors you might find on fruit. Sometimes you get some browns, you get some reds, you get a few yellows mixed in. And it's leaving some nice brush marks, so I'm liking that, and I'm really want to kind of let that go at that point to that level. But I want to also bring this red down a bit. And this nice orange down on this side a bit, because I think it's getting a little too green down below as it paint cures. Best thing is when you're done with the painting, walk away, come back the next morning and look at it, because it changes. The colors will get richer and darker as they cure overnight. You can hit it with a hairdryer while you're working on it, and yes, it will give you a good view, but the total, in my experience, the total paint cure takes overnight. The longer it sits, the prettier it gets. All right, that's starting to look pretty good. We want to bring that down on the darker tones now. This away. All right, and you're just going to add your yellows as you feel you need to. And the thing to remember, while I'm showing you my vision, your vision might be a little different, and that's okay. The thing to remember is for every light, there is a dark, and for every dark, there is a light. So you want to make sure you have your lights and your darks. And now I don't want to have a definitive line between the green and the red, so I'm going to try to gently feather out, and I'm going to need more red than yellow for this, but gently feather out into the green some of this color, okay, because I do want the green at the edge. So I'm going to gently feather my color in, okay? There we go. Getting a nice little feather going there. All right, same thing down here, more towards the reds because we want the darkness that we created to remain. Now, if you want a brighter red, you're going to paint white first. And then your reds or your yellows over it. Okay, we're getting some very nice tones here. That's looking beautiful. All right. We don't just want red stripes and yellow stripes. So we're going to blend them in a little bit. A little bit of tapping, not much. There we go. Ah, beautiful. Take a little of that red here. I'm going to tap that into this area here a little bit. Ah, look at this. We got greens, we got reds, we got some yellows, oranges. It's very expressive looking little pear we got going. Not loving the fact that I have like a mountain here, so I'm going to blend that out a little bit with some, maybe some yellows, the darker yellows in them. There we go. That's looking better and better. All right. Take some of my brighter yellow here and do something, well, need a little more orange to that. So let's add a little of this to it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, because we don't want to have like mountains. It shouldn't look like a mountain. It should look more organic. So you need to make you just keep applying the paint until you get the look you're trying to achieve. And I'm just trying to do away with the mountains we got going because I don't care for that. And that does happen as we're painting. Remember, we're painting something. You're either following along closely to your reference, or you've used your reference as inspiration, and suddenly you look up, oh, you've created a mountain. Our minds tend to like things to be linear. They like things to be equal. So when you're looking at something, your brain is immediately trying to say, okay, this is too abstract. I need it to be more whatever. As artists, we all do it. As people, we all do it. There's no harm or foul. It's just how we work. We're human. That's the human condition. And I haven't cleaned my brush off. I'm just working with the same dirty brush for all sides because I'm really, there we go. We're losing a lot of that rounded look. Now I'm going to rush my brush because I want to add a little, blend in the reds with the greens a little bit more. So I'm still getting too linear or too much and not enough of the others. So I'm going to take a little hooker's green with a little bit of the Cad Yellow Medium. I'm going to get some on my brush, wipe my brush off, tap my brush again into the paint, and come out here and just tap lightly. Just tapping. It adds another color to our pear. And the more color you have, the better your pear will look. Alright, that's I'm pretty happy with this so far. I don't know about you, but I know I am happy. Down here, I don't want to have too many edges, so I'm going to work on tapping them out a bit. There we go. Now I think I want a little lightness to that too, so I'm going to add a little yellows. And just tap it in. Tap it in maybe here. Alright, looking actually pretty good here, people. Alright, now we're going to work on our stem. Time for the stem. Okay, I put down brown. Now you're going to need a nice round brush. I like the Princeton Velvet Touch Round number 4. It really gives a beautiful line. So I've put on my brown, but I want some green right now too. So I'm going to take some of my green. I'm going to take some of the Cad Yellow Medium. I'm going to make on the darker side of a green. Okay, I'm going to wipe my brush off, twirl it so it forms a nice point. I'm going to dig into my paint. And I'm going to bring my darker color here. I want some green on my stem. I don't know why I want green on my stem. But I also want a little of the brown. So I'm going to dip into my brown again. And I'm going to just pull in some browns with that. Okay. Down here where the stem is, it is the darkest of our color. So you just want to put a little bit of dark right at the base of your stem, okay? Because that is an area that's always dark on fruit. I rinse my brush out. When I start doing stuff like this, I tend to like to rinse my brush. Now I'm going to take some more yellow, and I'm going to just hint it with some green, very lightly. And I'm going to bring it up this way on my lighter side. And now I'm just going to try to pull it all together and blend it in. Okay, here we go. When you're doing work like this, you tend to have to reload your brush frequently. Top of my stem is going to have a little bit of a yellow highlight. Why? Because I'm the artist that says it does. There we go. Alright, now I didn't want a ball of paint, so I washed my brush out so I can lift off some of the paint. Okay, you don't have to keep, just because it formed a ball doesn't mean you have to keep it. There you go, we got a very nice thing. Now I'm going to take some of my Cad Yellow Medium, and I'm just wiped it off with a little green, and I'm just going to add the brightness on this side here. To the stem, so that the stem, we know the light source is here. It's all connecting together, okay? And that's what we're doing. All right, that's pretty much our thing, but I am going to lighten just a little bit, add a little bit more green here. But I don't want it dark, because it would not contrast with my background, which is black. All right, there we go. I'm going to take a little yellow and take a little bit of the yellow, Cad Yellow, here. Put a little bit on my palette paper. Take a little bit of the brown. Mix it in. There we go. You get a nice color with that. And I'm just going to run that down there. Oh, wow, that looks charming. Okay. That is our painting. You can sign it, and it's yours. These make a beautiful kitchen series. So you can see the whole series, hopefully. I got my pear, my peach, and my apple. So they make a beautiful series together. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. I'm Kathy from Caty-did Art. Please visit my store where I'll have your free traceable available. I will have a traceable for each of these paintings. This is the only one that has a lesson attached to it at this time, but in the future I hope to have additional lessons on how to do simple pieces of art that are fun and easy for everybody to do. Have a really nice day.